In this segment, Chef Weber will prepare blueberry muffins. The recipe will yield 12 muffins, 2½ ounces each. Ingredients are 8 ounces all-purpose flour, 5 ounces granulated sugar, 2 teaspoons baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 2 eggs, 8 fluid ounces milk, 2 ounces unsalted butter melted, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, 5 ounces blueberries, and 1 tablespoon lemon zest.
Today we will be preparing basic berry muffins. My dry ingredients begin with cake flour or all-purpose flour. Don't use bread flour, it's too high in gluten and will make the muffin or quick bread tough. Granulated sugar, baking powder, salt, and freshly ground nutmeg. The spices are optional. You could use clove or cinnamon if you choose. The wet ingredients include heavy cream, manufacturer's cream. You could also substitute, if you wanted to, sour cream, or you could use buttermilk. I'll also be utilizing eggs and freshly zested lemon. You could also exchange that for orange, but do it at the last minute before you're getting ready to prepare your recipe. You begin by taking a large stainless steel bowl, and all of your dry ingredients need to be sifted together. Utilize a china cap for this. First goes the flour, the sugar, and it's important to definitely sift the leavening agent so that your muffins rise evenly. And now I've got my spices finally. Gently tap your hand against the tammy to be able to sift it evenly. You do want a bowl larger than what you're trying to sift into so it doesn't end up all over the table. We're doing a hand method. If you had a larger batch, you could use a Hobart or you could use a KitchenAid. But by utilizing hand method, the muffin will come out extremely tender. Once I finish sifting this, I'm going to gently fold in my wet ingredients, which will be whipped together before I actually fold them in. Next stage will be the blueberries. It's very important with blueberries to utilize frozen, number one, because they're available year-round, number two, because of the cost factor, and number three, it's easy to have them around the kitchen at all times, and it's a very popular muffin, blueberry muffin, on the recipes. Now my wet ingredients will simply be whipped together. Take your eggs, your heavy cream, and again it's manufacturer's cream, and your lemon zest. And utilize a balloon whip for this, and gently whip them together until all of the egg yolk and white are combined in with the heavy cream. Keep your workstation nice and clean. And at that point, I'm simply going to fold in the wet ingredients into the dry. The very last step will be to fold in my blueberries. But before that, I need to add a small amount of melted butter, which I have behind me here. It's not necessary to clarify it. And that enriches the muffin and again makes it very tender. So first go ahead and put your wet with your dry. Get it about 3/4 of the way mixed. And at that point, I'm going to add my butter. It's not necessary to drizzle it in. You can add it all at once. And I'll continue folding. The very last stage, which is very critical to remember, is folding in the blueberries. If I begin with the blueberries, they'll streak and you'll actually have a lovely shade of green for your muffins. So it's very important to add them in when the muffin batter is completely mixed and the blueberries go in at the last minute. Now for my blueberries, I have a trick, a very classical trick. I'm going to use a small amount of what I call dusting flour. It's a small amount of all-purpose flour, and I'm going to go get my blueberries. They need to come directly from the freezer without any delay. Add a small amount of your dusting flour. Simply toss them together. That helps the blueberries prevent sinking to the bottom of your muffin tin, and it also stops that streaking with the green. Add all of your blueberries, and again, gently fold. The key to good muffins and quick breads is not having a heavy hand, but a very light hand. Try to avoid pressing with the spatula because that will increase the blueberries wanting to squeeze out their juice and discolor. Lovely. Now at this point, what I'm going to do is use a quick release ice cream scooper as my utensil to deposit the muffins into a muffin tin. You have two options. You can either use pan spray, which is very common in the industry, or you could use baking cups. It's your choice. So I'm going to begin spraying in a uniform manner. Try not to use too much pan spray. It can interfere with the rising process. I've preheated my oven behind me to 350 degrees. It is a convection oven, so I took that into consideration. My baking time is going to be roughly 35 minutes to 40 minutes. And we'll go over how to check that in a moment. Fill your scoop up quite uniformly and deposit it. And you can see my scoop size fits pretty much to the muffin tin. And you just finish depositing all of your beautiful muffins. Now you can make the batter in advance and add the blueberries daily in a production situation as you need them. You could also switch out your berry for something more seasonal, such as raspberries, frozen raspberries, or bruised berries that are in the kitchen that are not suitable for using on a beautiful fresh fruit tart, but definitely suitable for a muffin. Once these are all deposited, I'm going to put them in the oven. Now with quick breads and muffins, it's extremely important that you don't peek into the oven early. What will happen, you must treat them as a souffle. If you open the oven in advance of their baking time being completed, at least to the point that they're golden brown, you risk having the muffins fall. So now I've got my two towels. I'm going to place them in the oven, again at 350 degrees, and not open that oven door at least for 15 minutes. When you do go to open it up, if you're not quite sure, make a little small glance at it. If you don't see that it's golden brown, close the door immediately. The final step will be to check it first with your finger and see if it's golden brown. It's gentle to the touch, and then you can do the old trick of the toothpick right in the middle of the muffin, and it should come out clean. It's been roughly 30 to 45 minutes, and I'm going to check my muffins now. The first thing I'm going to do is pull them out, not all the way because you could risk them falling. I'm going to gently test one with my finger. It's got a nice spring on it. And then I'm going to poke it in the middle with my toothpick and make sure it's coming out dry. Yes, it is. And they look lovely. I'm going to pull them up now. And they're perfection. Very nice and evenly domed. Golden brown. While these are cooling, I want to show you a nice trick for display for the industry. Linen can run quite a bit of cost when you're doing a large buffet. So we have a beautiful basket here. What I'm going to do is take a bit of parchment paper, which is readily available in all of your commercial kitchens, and a nice basket. And I'm going to scrunch up the parchment paper, just like this. And this allows you to give more height to the basket without utilizing a lot of linen, expensive linen. Now at that point, I'm going to take some linen and just fold it in a pleasing V. During the holidays, you could certainly put some matching ribbon for the Christmas holiday. You could use tartan plaid ribbon. You could use Halloween with yellow, depending upon what your theme is for the banquet. You just tie your ribbon up here. Now it's nice and fluffy. It looks great. And I'm going to take my muffins, and you want to line them up either on the diagonal, so they're presented very nicely, or at least nicely lined up. So they should be cooled enough by now for me to be able to move them. And I'll just start from the back. You could certainly stripe these if you were doing a breakfast buffet with some bran muffins in the next line, but we'll just do these all blueberry today. Presentation is always important in the food industry. And voila.